Our next CEE scholar is Bryce Wong, an alumnus of the USA Biology Olympiad. Bryce earned a silver medal in 2012 and a bronze medal in 2013. He went on to receive a BS in computer science and molecular biology, as well as a Master of Engineering in Computational Biology from MIT. Bryce is currently a medical student at Stanford and hopes to become a pediatric ophthalmologist. In his free time, he loves all things trivia and recently became a two-time champion on the TV show Jeopardy. Bryce joined us from the hospital at Stanford. Bryce?
Good afternoon. Thanks for the kind introduction. So I'd just like to chat briefly about two things. The first is a testimonial about the importance of the USA Biology Olympiad to my personal journey in medicine. And the other should be eminently obvious to most of us here, but it's that those of us in STEM are passionate about a variety of subjects, many of which are outside of simply technology or engineering or math. So for the Biology Olympiad, that was the first time that I was exposed to, first of all, to cutting edge research, to essentially that entire way of thinking, and mostly to other folks that were really passionate about the same things that I was, who had memorized biochemistry textbooks, who could identify the order of every insect and bird that we passed, folks that were interested in the mathematical modeling of evolution. That's something I simply wasn't exposed to in high school where I was. And it was really a life-changing experience to meet other people like that in the environment that the Biology Olympiad provided. Beyond that experience, alumni of the program have been incredibly important in my journey at MIT. They introduced me to the lab that I ended up working in. They introduced me to the world of computational biology, which, again, I'm thankful to other alumni for putting me in touch with programs in that field. And even here at Stanford, I've continued to meet fellow students and mentors who've been alumni of both the Biology Olympiad and RSI, who have helped guide my clinical journey, provide really solid advice, and have just been wonderful people to talk to. And the other thing, I think, as I said, it should be obvious to all of us here, but it's that those of us in STEM are really, we're passionate about a variety of subjects. At the Biology Olympiad, I met people that were interested in archery, in composing classical music, in sort of dissecting the details of the plots of operas, in surfing, in writing science fiction, making crosswords. And I think meeting folks with all those diversity of interests also sparked my own interest in kind of learning a little bit about a lot of different fields. And that served me well on Jeopardy. But I think more importantly, it has served me well in life, where when I'm chatting with patients or just meeting people, having that ability to know a little bit about people's interests, I think really makes a difference in being able to connect more profoundly. So overall, I'd really just like to thank the Biology Olympiad for providing such an incredible experience. And thank you to everyone at the center that's made this possible for both myself and for all the other students that have been part of these programs. You've touched more lives than you could possibly know. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to being on the Jeopardy competition and your strategies and your aggressive betting strategies and just what you thought of the experience?
Yeah, so in terms of getting onto Jeopardy, there's like a couple of online tests, and then you kind of show up in person, and there's some more tests and interviews and things like that. Then they kind of just tell you, they put you in a big pool of people, and they're like, we'll call you someday. And I was lucky enough to get that call. Let's see. In terms of the experience there, it's kind of surreal. The stage is a lot larger than I imagined. There's also a lot of just interesting behind the scenes things, sort of during all the commercial breaks. They're refilming parts where they're having the hosts kind of, you know, provide fun facts and things like that. So that was a really good experience. And then in terms of the betting strategy, I guess I was inspired a little bit by watching James Holzhauer. Of course, nowhere near that level, but there was a guy on Jeopardy a couple of years ago who had a much more aggressive betting strategy, and it kind of worked out for him. So kind of tried to learn from that to place more aggressive bets and hope that I knew about the kind of minutia that would come up within those clues.
Bryce, how do you prepare for Jeopardy? Have you been a member of like Quiz Bowl and Trivia Bowl teams all throughout school, or how do you really get into this?
I was exposed to Quiz Bowl through the Biology Olympiad, one of the programs put on by the center. Some other students there were doing that, and that exposed me to just a whole variety of fields, from literature, history, things like that, that I hadn't really read about before. And that sort of sparked my interest in a lot of the things that do show up on Jeopardy. Since that time, I guess I did watch quite a few programs, and then I guess like there's a database of previous questions, so I tried to pull from that and prepare that way.
Does Jeopardy repeat questions, or is there like a cram book, or how do you go about the actual process of preparation?
I wish there were a cram book, and they don't really repeat questions, but they do have like general things that come up. For example, it's like supposedly classic works of literature, or like details of American history or presidents, or sometimes it's just like I watched a lot of YouTube, honestly, to help prepare.
Oh, is that right?
Lots of, for example, like dog breeds and things like that.
I'm sure this is top of mind for a lot of people with respect to Jeopardy. With the passing of Alex Trebek, we are, maybe halfway through the experience of auditioning new hosts for the show. What is your thought in terms of who might be a good future host for the show?
Like Ken Jennings would be fantastic for the role. Part of it is just, as with anything in life, I think if you're really passionate about something, then I think it'll come across, and I think it'll help someone succeed in a role.
Bryce, before we started the program today, you and I were having a conversation about your medical studies and your interests. Can you tell us a little bit more about why and how you're actually thinking about pediatric ophthalmology?
For ophthalmology specifically, I just think it's such an interesting field that you focus on a relatively small organ, but there's a lot of interesting technology there. There's like interesting microsurgery that happens, especially some of the retinal work. So that's how I first got into that field. And then in terms of the pediatric component, I've just really enjoyed working with kids, both on my pediatrics rotation, and I did a pediatric surgery rotation. So I think that's how I got interested in that field.
And so tell us about the pathway of your training now and how you foresee it going forward. Is there a research component, or how are you moving forward with respect to your studies?
I guess I'm somewhat interested in like healthcare administration side things. So perhaps not super exciting, but perhaps that'd be something else I'd like to explore.
Bryce, thank you again for coming on. I know that I know people were so happy to cheer for you and your success on Jeopardy, and we look forward to watching you in your medical career.